There's only like four of us that are in school right now, right? I think it's just him. Everybody else is already he's out of school, so well, mostly it's only a couple people that are still that are out of school. Um, but like for the ones that are out of school, you kind of start thinking of what are you gonna start doing? What am I gonna do this year? What am I gonna accomplish? What am I gonna do? And sometimes I mean, I know I do that. Usually, like in November, December, you kind of start, even though, I mean, a lot of people say, oh, nothing changes. It's just the change of the number of the year and stuff. And, I mean, technically, yeah, that's really what it is. But, I mean, I think all of us as like humans and stuff, we can kind of use it like kind of like a reset or kind of like a fresh start. It's kind of a way that helps us more like psychologically to help us kind of get like a fresh start. What I do is sometimes every year it kind of changes, but sometimes in like November, December, I start kind of thinking like, oh, what am I gonna do this year? What am I gonna do different? Should I have like a plan? And sometimes some years I've done something, some years I haven't done anything, or some years I just started off and I don't do anything. I think one of the most popular thing is the whole New Year's resolution thing, and how other than that, like a lot of people do the whole, and it's funny because I see it like in the whole fitness thing. Like the first couple months, the gyms are full, and then like all right, like in March it dies down, and then it kind of starts picking up again, like maybe in the summer because everybody wants to look good for the summer. Summer's over, then it goes back down. So I mean that's kind of like something you can kind of physically see how like the whole New Year thing um, kicks off. But going back to what I was saying about like right now, kind of being a little bit past the half point already, thinking if we are in the kind of like what we thought in the beginning of the year, are we kind of still doing the thing that we thought we were gonna do, or that we kind of put our mind? And then sometimes a lot of things have changed. A lot of things change that are out of our hands. Sometimes jobs, they we move them around, they change, you switch jobs, or sometimes it's not even our plan, or it's the job itself that hey, we don't need you no more, or closes down or whatever reason. So things that are out of our hands, but the stuff that is in our hands, we try to find a way to not much of control it, but at least try to find a way to maintain it. Um, and I want to go to uh, Philippians chapter 4, verse 6 through 7. So I'm going to start reading it. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. So here in the verse, we can see how do not be anxious about anything, even though, like I was saying, how throughout the year, things change and stuff, and we get anxious about outcome of things, or if we're wanting to do something and we don't see the change or the difference or the progress, we get anxious of saying that maybe it's not even worth it, or maybe it's not even working. Um, but also it says in the verse, let your request be made known to God. So during the process of you trying to make that change or maintain the change, and we find like we're not progressing and stuff, we can always let the request known to God. Tell God, hey, I'm trying to do this and it's not working out how I thought it would, or I wanted to do this and for whatever reason I didn't do it. Let God know your troubles and stuff, so He could help you, guide you, and give you strength to do whatever you want to do. Another verse that I want to go to right now, it is in Proverbs chapter 12, verse 25. And this is kind of like one of the verses that I want to go based off today. And I'm going to read it. It goes, anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. So I've I think all of us get even with like me talking right now to you guys. When we go to different services and stuff, there's always you know, some sort of, you can say, motivation. Not like speaker, but when we go to, like last week that we're at the camp, you know, one of the brothers that was talking to us in the youth group, he's from Las Vegas, and you know, you guys remember he was talking about the Tree of Life and the Garden of Eden and all those things, and you know, they all these like messages and different conversations, they're a way to motivate us to continue going. Um, but what's the one thing that we kind of can take off from like motivation? One thing about motivation is that it's just sometimes it's just motivation. You'll get excited for maybe a couple hours, a day, maybe a week most. If you're really good at it, maybe a month you can stay motivated. But you know, motivation always ends up dying down. Um, I have a you can kind of say a mentor or someone that I talked to pretty cool. His name's Cody Alfred. He was a in the Marines. He was a Marine Raider, Special Operations. He's a really cool dude. Um, this whole month, I talk to him once a week, try to get a hold of him, and we have conversations with another group and stuff. And one of the things he always says is if you want, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody here knows about David Goggins, right? Or to some point, everybody knows about David Goggins. So he says, and he knows about him. He's talked to him too, and he says if you want motivation, go watch a David Goggins video, because I mean that's what they really are. It's just like the shorts and stuff. You know, I've seen them. I'm pretty sure you guys have come across them, but they're very pushy to be like motivating. But like he said, go watch a David Goggins video for the sense that, you know, it's only kind of a short-term thing, a short-term, you know, the dopamine, you know, gives you that high in your head that, oh, I'm going to do this right now and stuff. And then within, like I said, depends on the day, week, or even a month, it goes away, and then you go back to not doing anything. And we were having the conversation. He was talking about that and saying how sometimes we kind of need to set ourselves kind of like a mission statement. A mission statement is kind of, it's like a plan of what you want to do and what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. One of the things that he talks to us about is the five W's: the who, what, when, where, and why. And one of the things that we're breaking down was like on who. Like who, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard the phrase, it's not what you know, but it's who you know. And I've witnessed that a lot, that sometimes it's not really exactly not what you know, but who you know. You're trying to get a job, and you might have all the criteria, everything, all the certificates, credentials, everything. But if you don't know no one in the program or in the system, it's a little bit harder for you to get in compared to someone that knows someone in there. Even if it's just like someone that they know throughout time, but just having that person that you know, it's going to give you definitely an edge compared to other people that don't have anybody, don't know anybody. Even we can even see it more like if we go to an event and you don't know anybody, you're just going to be in like right there, you know, on the side. But if you know someone, hey, you know, come over here, and then you get part of the group and stuff. So knowing people is always a good advantage. And this is just kind of talking like with work related and stuff, and outside stuff. But you know, like spiritually here in church, sometimes it's good to know people, more in the sense of like people that have maybe gone through a situation. Let's say someone lost their job, and you know, they cope with it, they figured out how to work around it or do something with it, and now they're doing something better. When let's say you lose your job and you don't know how to cope with it, so you know who you talk to that person, you know, hey, you know, how did you do, or what did you do to cope with losing the job and stuff, and then that person, you know, obviously if it's a mature person, everything will give you their experience and what they did, because you know, all of us are different. Some of us might kind of take it as like, whatever happens, but then there's some people that invest a lot of time and emotions in a job that if they do lose that job, you know, it kind of breaks them down, because it's you know, I invested time, because that's one thing we can never get back is time, you know. money we can always get back money, but time, that's something you can never get back. And I don't like wasting my time either. I don't think anybody likes their time being wasted. So, like on the Who, what I was saying is that sometimes it's important and it's good to know people. And I know for some people it is harder to like conversate, to get to know people. But I do encourage people to get to know other people, and not just anybody. Obviously, someone that's gonna be a asset to your life. And another thing that I wanted to get to is the where. It's kind of like our environment. Sometimes it's good to know people and stuff, but also what environment are we in? The environment we work with, or in the school environment. Um, is it something that's positive? Is it something that's going to be encouraging? Is it something that's going to help us in this environment? Because I do believe that having a negative environment does really affect you. As much as sometimes I don't even want to think about it or even really consider it, but being around negative people sometimes rubs off on you. If you hear someone complaining all the time, after a while you can get annoyed of it. Oh, this dude always complains and complains. But then sometimes you catch yourself complaining as well, because that thing kind of rubs off you, and then you turn into that person that's always complaining, because it kind of rubbed off you that everybody's always complaining, nothing's getting done, and you kind of fall into that routine or that circle of your environment of you're around people that are always negative and complaining. So that's what you're also doing, complaining and being negative. Um, One thing that I kind of learned with time is that we all have problems, issues. Some are bigger than others. Some are very miscellaneous, not really too important. But then there's some other problems that are a little bit more like on the serious note, depending on relationships, work, maybe finances, and things like that. And one thing that I kind of learned along the way is, don't complain to people who are not going to help you. Um, because what is that? There's no, I the way I see it is there's no sense of any progress. You're just gonna telling someone that it's not gonna help you let's say your problem. But what are they gonna? They're not gonna do anything about it. So why even bother telling them? I like to be around an environment that people are gonna be an asset to you. Help that person. That person helps you out. Um, Being someone that can be a problem solver, I think that's a lot of things that I think are important. Is being someone that's more of a not a problem solver, like you have the answers to everything, but being like an asset, an individual that is like worth something. Give yourself some value. Sometimes people ask us for something, and if you don't know, it's fine. You don't got to know everything, but take the time for you as an individual to learn something, to integrate yourself with like different topics, different themes. Be an asset. That's kind of, especially in the church. I think that's also a very good thing to be someone that knows things and knows people. Um, Something that we have a lot in the church environment is there's unfortunately there's not too much like, oh, this guy's a big time lawyer, oh, this guy's a millionaire and stuff like that, because most of the time a lot of those positions lead to other things that are negative. So it's kind of hard to find someone that stays with that high position, but also stays in the church and holds its own values. So as difficult as it is to have someone that's in that high position and stay in church, um, encourage for all of us to be one of those people that do have high intellects, high positions, be an asset. Hey, if someone needs help with something, maybe some financial advice in the church, you being an asset that knows something about finance can help that person out, and be an asset to the church. Don't just uh, like in Spanish when they say no estás calentando asiento. You're not just keeping the seat warm. And not doing anything. I know most of us here are pretty young and still in school and stuff, but for sure this is something that you can integrate once you get older. When you're still young right now, there's not a lot of pressure on work and relationships. All you're doing is really just going to school and stuff. But definitely encourage you guys that are still in school to start maybe leveling up a little bit more. So like when you get out of school and start working in the work environment and doing financial decisions and stuff like that, you do them accordingly and in a smart way, because there's a lot of people that I know that don't really do the best financial decisions, and then you kind of try to tell them, or you try to explain to them, and they don't listen, get stubborn, and then they do a bad financial decision. They fall into a hole, and then they're complaining about them falling into the hole, and it's kind of like I told you so type of thing. So also be good listeners. Also with like I said, going to those 5 W's: the who, the where, and then the why. One of the reasons that I find the why is important is kind of like why do you do things the way you do them, or why do you react with ways that you react? What's inside of you? What's your state of mind? Is it something that's strong, or is it something that's vulnerable? And I think if we like going back to what I was talking about, a little bit past the half point of the year, are we? Why haven't we been doing, or why haven't we progressed in the way that we thought we could have? I mean, like I said, I kind of had a plan too. It hasn't gone 100%, but it's going there. But I asked myself these questions too, like why hasn't it progressed more? Why have you not gone further than you thought you would? And sometimes if we ask ourselves that question a lot, like why, and then we start thinking, okay, you know what? Yeah, I do slack off a lot. I don't. Instead of spending the time to look into this, I just decided to just hang out and do something else. Or instead of putting time or effort into maybe continuing like another class or something, I prefer not to do it because it's time consuming, and I want to do something else. So sometimes a lot of the reasons why we don't progress is because we don't ask ourselves that question, like why isn't it progressing? Why aren't we improving? Like why aren't we in a better position that we wanted to be? And all these connect because sometimes that why could be because of your environment. You have a negative environment. That's one of the reasons why you wouldn't be progressing. And the who, like why am I not progressing? Well, who's in your circle? Is it maybe someone in a relationship that's holding you back, or is it something, maybe some friends that are not giving you the best advice and you're following kind of like their agenda, and it's not a good agenda? So that's where we can implement some of these, like who, and then the what, like what can I do? Is the other one. What can I do to progress? What can I do to improve? Do I change my work, or do I find some way to kind of, and not really balance, because there's this kind of a dilemma where people say, oh, life is like a balance. You got to balance this, you got to balance that. And to a certain extent, I kind of do believe it's true. The only issue with that I see is that like if you're balancing things, you're not on some things, yes, but like on some other subjects. For example, let's say you want to start a business, and you want to try to balance your business with, let's say, work. The part where I kind of see that more of an issue is because you're not going to be giving 100% to the business that you're trying to build, so it's not going to progress as fast enough. It's only going to progress at like a 50% rate when you should probably be focusing it a lot so it can progress 100% rate. With work, we're all expendable at work. If we all have a job that we're not the boss or anything like that, unfortunately, we're all expendable at work. They can get rid of us anytime. They can replace us anytime. Or sometimes the company can just close down, and then that's it. So at work, sometimes the way I kind of see it is, yeah, of course, do a good job. I'm not saying don't do a good job, be late and stuff. Do what's required of you because what you're getting paid. But some people tend to do, and I'm pretty sure you guys have even. I've done that before, where I definitely give more than I should at work, and at the end of the day, yeah, you get paid more, stuff like that, but then you lose a lot of time. And then, like I said, that's one thing you can never get back is time. Money, you can always make more money. You can always find different ways to make more money. You don't have to just work, but your time, that's the thing that's always the most valuable. And some of us don't even appreciate the time that we have. There's a lot of sayings with time. You're just wasting time. You're not using your time productively, or what are you doing with your time? Because it's it's literally the only thing that we do have is time, and knowing how to emphasize that to something bigger should always be something good for us. And then going back to, I also want to read this verse, and let's try 2 of Timothy chapter 1 verse 7. So I'm going to read it. It says, "For God gave us spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control." So from these five, I guess, W's that I was telling you guys, the last one is the when. So if we haven't, all of us included, if we haven't taken action or we haven't done anything, we should ask ourselves, well, when are we going to do this? Here in Second Timothy, where it says God gave us the spirit of not of fear, because a lot of times when we want to do something new or want to progress or something, and like, oh, when is the time? When is the right time? Going back to time, when, and here it says God gave us the spirit of not fear. A lot of the reasons why we don't move forward or don't execute on certain things is because we're out of fear and knowing like, oh, well, when is the right time, or I'm gonna let them know at the right time. But sometimes that passes us and we don't even see it. But a lot of the reasons why we don't take action is because we are scared. A quick little story. Like I said, I was talking to Cody, and he was giving us a story actually that he went to this convention, and there's a lot of people from a lot of different ranges. There's a lot of millionaires and things like that, and they were doing a fundraiser for kids that are like terminally ill and don't have too much time on their hands, or they have some serious illness that they can't really do too much. So this program, what it does is, it helps a kid do kind of like the Make-A-Wish thing, but not exactly like that. So, a kid, let's say this kid has like cancer, and let's say he wants to go to like an A's game. So, the fundraiser helps make that happen. So Cody was telling us that, he was in this fundraiser and they were doing like an auction. And I guess he was trying to get this auction where it's like a package of, I think it was like you sail around Greece for like a couple weeks in a yacht. And he was like, I want to do this for me and my wife. I want to take her out on a trip and stuff. And so, all right, cool. He's like, I'm going to do it. He's like, I'm going to do it. He told us that, he got his the little numbers when you pick up when you're in the crowd. And he was like, all right, let's do this. It's probably going to be a couple grand, nothing crazy. Like, yeah, I could afford this. I got it. So then they started the auction, hey, you're going to start it off at $1,000. And he's like, oh, picked up my little paddle, $5,000. He's like, all right, I'll pick it up. And then he was all like, $10,000. Then he picked it up, and he was telling us like, man, I was getting scared because I was like, I'm way past my limit. I was like, but I really want this for my wife. He's all like, I was scared. He's like, I don't know what I was doing. And then they went $15,000, and he's like, and then I picked it up again, and he was like, I was starting to get scared. Like, oh, what am I doing, man? Like, this is already way past $20,000. And he said that he kept on picking it up, and every time he was picking it up, he was all like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I'm scared. Like, I shouldn't be doing this. And I guess he said that he kind of got lost in the moment, and he kept his paddle up, $20,000, $25,000, $30,000, and he was saying that in his mind he was just like going through all this. You can't even say like anxiety of how am I going to afford this, but without him really like realizing, he was just the bid was just going higher, and I guess it got up to like 40,000. And he was up there. He was kind of like, oh man, like. But there was other people competing too. So he was like, you know what? No, yeah, I'm done. Like, I'm not gonna do this no more. And I guess one of his buddies saw him, and he was like, hey man, well this was only a one ticket. So he told him, he's like, hey, if you do up to 45, I'll give you 2 tickets so you and your wife can go, not just your wife. So he's like, all right, screw it. So he picked it up, and he won. It was 45,000. But he was saying that, dude, I don't have 45,000 for this trip. He's like, I was so scared because he's like, man, I got bills to pay. I got, a mortgage to pay. I got all these things. And I just bid $45,000. And he was like kind of panicking, trying to figure out, what am I going to do? But he was saying that, in the midst of all that, you can kind of say like, anxiety of him like trying to figure out what he's going to do, he kind of forgot the idea of that he was not just getting tickets, but the whole reason that he was doing this because the program helps kids. So he said that he focused on that instead. Like I'm not giving this money just for myself to get a ticket. No, I'm giving this money to help these kids, and I guess he was gonna help like around 4 or 5 of them to like kind of like make their dream come true. So he was all like, you know what, like it's more important like the giving. And even though he's like, I was scared. He's like, I was really scared because he's like, and I was talking to him on Thursday, and he was saying that had happened, I think, on Tuesday. So he was telling us like, dude, like even right now, he's like, I'm scared because I'm trying to figure out this, how am I gonna raise up this money and get back on my feet because it was 45 grand. I had all these bills and stuff. But then he was telling us, you know what? I kind of sat down and I thought about it. I was like, well, what do I have to offer? What can I do to get myself back on my feet? And since, he does different programs and different things himself, he was like, well, I got to put in work. And one of the main things that he was saying, my main point is that if you're not really under pressure for anything, you don't really do anything. And he said that knowing the fact that I had to pay up this amount, it brought pressure on me, and the pressure on me made me want to do all these extra like programs and stuff. I think he was saying that he was going to be doing this because he was in special operations. He was saying that he's going to do this. I think it was like a 2-day thing where if you want to become like a sharpshooter sniper and go through a little bit of how Marine Recon School is, that he offers you, you pay him and then he offers you the schooling and stuff, which is technically you can't really do that unless you join the Marines and you go through all the things. But since he has that, he can offer it to you and you pay him. And so he was saying that the thing that he was under pressure. So like, what do I have to offer that I could get this amount back? And going back to the thing about the pressure, that sometimes we don't do things because we're not under pressure for anything. I think we've all been in a position where when we're under pressure, we start kind of panicking and we start fiddling around. Even when you're late for something, you're being late, that's pressure. You start like, oh, did I forget this? Did I have that? Forget that? And you start rushing. When you're not running late or nothing, you take your time. You don't really, think too much about anything because, I got time, I'm not really too much in a rush. But when you're rushing, what do? You start moving fast. You start moving quickly. So kind of, his main point was kind of saying that he was emphasizing of, if you're not really under pressure for a lot of things, you're not going to really progress as fast. And then, kind of want to go back to the point about us being around a little bit past the half point of the year is, are we giving ourselves any pressure to move forward, to better, to do things that we were like scared of doing to do? Spiritually wise, have we maybe, I know every Friday, and sometimes I do forget, we do verses every Friday, and sometimes I forget, during the week, I was like, oh yeah, that verse is good. I'll be during the week, oh yeah, that verse is good. Oh yeah, that verse is good. And then when it comes to the day, I forget about all the verses. I'm like, oh, suck of the blood, I'm trying to figuring out like which one out of all of those was I going to do. And then, but having kind of that pressure, you can kind of say that, you got to find a verse at the end of the week. So throughout the week, it kind of helps me, try to figure one out and stuff. And it's nothing crazy. It's very miscellaneous, but the small pressure of having to stand up in front of the church and read your verse. There has been a couple instances where my dad calls someone out and they don't have anything, and it's pretty. I mean, for our end, it's kind of like, damn, dude, you had all week and you couldn't get your verse. Kind of embarrassing. So you don't want to put yourself in that position of even though it's like you said miscellaneous, but it's like a small embarrassment. Even that's something with church, but even like you can put it in school. So you got a report or something, or you're supposed to answer this question and you don't know it. You get called out in front of the class. You get embarrassed. Those are small things. Kind of like what I want to get more at is having the bigger picture of let's give ourselves some pressure so we can kind of move forward and do what we want to do, and kind of how I was implementing those the 5 W's, the who, what, when, where, and why, kind of use it as a way to kind of progress forward, move forward, and do things better. Sometimes we don't. I mean, personally, myself, I don't really have too much, which I don't think it's an issue, but it could become an issue if I let it become an issue. Is having the pressure of doing something more, doing something else. Because I mean, I'm here in hometown, and I don't really have no crazy obligations or anything like that. But it's kind of in the sense of if I let it get to me, it could be an issue of me not doing anything at all because I'm comfortable. And one of the things we're also discussing is, when you start getting comfortable, that's when you should be getting uncomfortable so you can progress more and do better and do other things. Um, and I want to kind of finish up with this last verse in Psalms chapter 59, verse 9. And I'm going to read it out. Actually, it's verse. Yeah, it is verse 9. Well, actually, you know what? Scratch that. I'm going to do Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. And before I read the verse, I just, kind of want to, round up everything of kind of what I started off with, half point of the year. Let's try to figure out why are we not moving forward like we wish we would. We can even say spiritually and also, in our daily lives that why are we not moving forward or what have we not done that we thought we were going to do this year? Why haven't we done it and we should do it? And implementing, those, for me, it's been helping me implementing those 5 Ws and helping to progress, like I said, not just, outside in the world, outside in, making money, jobs and stuff like that, but also spiritually. And, we can put all those things together. And at the end of the day, we can feel so many emotions up and down. But at the end of the day, like I said, here in Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6, it says, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. So, with this verse, whatever we have that we want to do or we haven't done or we plan on doing, we shouldn't be scared of doing it. God is with us all the time. And sometimes, even I think I have that thing that comes up on me like, maybe it's not worth it, or maybe I shouldn't do it, or maybe I'm scared. I mean, most of the things that we do have is, we're scared to do things. We're scared of failing. That's like a big thing. I don't want to do it because what if I fail? I'm just going to be wasting time and money. I don't want to do this because we think of all the outcomes, but we don't really think about the positive outcomes. Hey, you know what? If I start this business and really implement 100% on it, I don't just help myself, but I can also help my family, so my parents don't have to work. We don't think about the positive effect that we could do with it. Also, be a positive effect to, to your friends and families, especially like we have siblings and stuff. Hey, brother or sister, they're struggling with this, but me having this business going stuff, maybe I can help them out and make their life easier so you can be an asset to your family, to your friends, and to the church to whatever extent. So sometimes I think that we should definitely, if right now we have something in our minds that we want to do and we haven't done it, like I said, regarding school or anything outside of school, I think we should, as much as we can, look at Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6, and how it says, for the Lord your God goes with you. So he's always with you. Whatever you plan on doing, whatever you are doing, God is with you, and he will never leave you nor forsake you. So even though sometimes it might not be going as you think it is, or sometimes, like, hey, I heard that he said to give 100%, and it's 100% going downhill, it's not even going like I thought it would, but like it says here, he will never leave you nor forsake you. So overall, I kind of want to take taken today's message is that we're at a little bit past the half point, and let's try the best we can to, whatever plans or whatever goals we had in the beginning of the year that maybe we haven't done, or wanted or haven't even started or started and didn't just stop doing it. Let's pick it up and let's see if we can finish off strong. We still got 5 months left, so let's see if we can. Maybe by the end of the year, I'm gonna see NASA as a millionaire. Maybe by the end of the year, Benji's gonna have his whole his Yellowstone ranch, or something. Let's try to make ourselves better, and also, of course, spiritually, help ourselves, be strong and spiritually. So let's stand up and do a quick prayer before we finish. Father God, thank you very much for this time, this day, and thank you for giving us the strength to be here. And help us, Lord, to not be afraid, to not be scared. Help us to trust in you, Lord, and help us to have the confidence also in ourselves to do better, to progress, and not have fear take over us and what we want to do and what we want to accomplish in our life, but have you, Lord, as a guide to help us, to be there for us. Lord Jesus, help us to also trust in you and your will, Lord Jesus, and not falter whenever something's going bad or downhill, but to trust in you, Lord, that you have a plan for each and one of us. But also, Lord Jesus, help us to be able to maintain and stay on that plan and to keep moving forward. In your holy name we pray, amen.